G'day everyone, Jaimunji here, and today we will be ranking Slipknot's albums from best to worst. Now, when I say that, I actually mean I'm going to put them in a tier list, like the S tier being the best, D tier being the lowest, but don't worry, if I've got multiple albums in the same tier, I will arrange them for which album I think is personally better. I'm super keen to do this. I've done two of these videos before. First one was Fear Factory, second one was Iron Maiden. They're a lot of fun, and you guys go nuts in the comments, but that's good. I want your opinion because I'm sure my opinion is going to be different to a lot of people's. My music taste, especially with metal, kind of jumps around a lot, and I've been a Slipknot fan for a long time. I mean, since high school. I've been out of high school for how long? Oh, 15 years. I'm in my early 30s, so I've known the band for a long time. I've listened to the band for a long time, and my opinion on the band has changed over time. So, with that said, let's get to it. Alright, before we get into it, if you like these type of ranking videos and want to see me do more, please let me know because I'd love to do more. I was debating doing a Trivium one soon because they've got 10 albums out now, so I think that's well overdue. I'm sure there's plenty of other bands I could sit down and rank, but for now, let's get into Slipknot and let's do it in release order. We're going to start with the self-titled album. Man, this one for me is very special. Slipknot just came out of the park. What expression is that? They knocked the ball out of the park. There we go. I get it right eventually. This album in particular, I think, might be my favorite. I don't know. It changes all the time. Songs like, Sick, Eyeless, which is one of my favorite Slipknot songs of all time. The Only One, Surfacing. It's banger after banger after banger on this album. So for me to put it anything below S tier would be criminal. I'm sure a lot of people would have to have this in A or S. I don't think anyone who is a Slipknot fan would put this at B or lower. If you hate the band, then you hate the band. But why are you watching this video if you hate the band? You know what I mean? So I think you guys would all be comfortable with S. I definitely can't have that anywhere below S for me. I personally think, as far as debut albums go, this is just one of the best of all time. If I was to do a ranking video of metal bands with the best debuted albums, I still think Slipknot would end in S. Let's move over to the second album, which I know a lot of people have this as their number one, and I'm not here to argue that. It's going to be boring, trust me. I'm not going to put all these in S tier. Iowa really kind of changed the music scene with heavy music and made it more popular than ever. Don't get me wrong, Slipknot are not the heaviest band in the world. Slipknot are not the most technically gifted band in the world. They're very, very good, but for how heavy they are, they probably have to be the most mainstream band that's heavy. You got to think, most people don't listen to heavy metal music. People know who Slipknot are. They might not like it, but they know who Slipknot are, and that really happened with Iowa coming out. Left Behind's one of my favorite songs. People Equal Shit. Disaster Pieces. It's My Plague. That was in the Resident Evil movie, I believe. I think that was the first time I heard that song. But this album, of course, has to go in S tier as well. I'm not going to put them in order on which one I think is better in the tiers until the end. So we'll leave it at that for now. You'll have to wait to the end if I think it's better than the debut album or not. And honestly, I'm not sure. So I need some time to think about it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the third album. Since this album came out, the side projects that happened, Joey went off and did Murder Dolls, Corey went and did Stone Sour. All that stuff was great in its own right. Stone Sour kept going for the longest time until I believe now they're on hiatus while Corey does his solo stuff. Bit of a shame. I always loved Stone Sour, but the last album was a bit... You could tell Corey wanted to do something different, so you might as well let him, otherwise that's going to leak into other music and it affects those bands. Like, sometimes you get that Stone Sour effect in Slipknot. I don't think it was in this album yet. I love Subliminal Verses. I think it's great. One criticism I had for the longest time, which I've kind of changed on, I didn't like how Corey did his scream. Now, I remember in an interview I read years ago now, Corey even admitted, yeah, I just wanted to change it up. If I could go back and redo it now, I would. I happen to agree, but over time, this album's been out for a long time now. Over time, I've learned to go, yep, that's just different, because Corey's screams have kind of evolved on every album after this anyway. So I no longer have that, oh, I wish it sounded more like Iowa in his voice. Now it's its own thing. It stands out on its own. Great songs on this one. This one, I know they got a bit more slack from the fans because it was a bit more of a commercial success. They won a Grammy for Before I Forget. Duality is killer. The Blister Exists. Pulse of the Maggots. The Nameless. There are a lot of good songs in this album. I don't want to throw it up in S tier because I'm going to rank Slipknot against Slipknot. I do think this is an A+. I think it just falls short of being in the S tier. And that's probably because it had to follow these first two albums. If this album came out now, with everything that's come out since, I'd probably throw it up in the S tier. But I think putting it at A, I'm happy with. I might change that. That might move up or down. I don't think it's going to go down. I think it's great. Bit more commercial than the other stuff, but the good thing about Slipknot is they evolved. The first two albums, they were obviously angry. Corey talks about his anger a lot. And as you get older, you just let things go. And it would sound forced to try and go back and capture the sound of the first two albums. So it made sense. This album still is awesome, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite as well. It's one of mine too. I still chuck it on from time to time, the whole way through. Of course, I listen to the singles, but A tier for this one. This is the last album, unfortunately, with the original lineup. I'd say it's a good album. It's not a great album. Psychosocial is a fantastic song. It doesn't feel like a super Slipknot song, but if you go see Slipknot live, and I've seen them live 3 times now, as soon as Psychosocial comes on, you don't care that it's their most, commercially successful song. That song just slaps. It goes hard live. Sulphur was a good song off this album. The title track was a good song. Dead Memories is a very good song. And people gave him criticism for it, and I'll agree. That song could have just been a Stone Sour song, but with the extra instruments Slipknot add to it, it feels like a good Slipknot song. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't love this album. I do like it. I don't know where I really want to put it just yet. Just off, like, Psychosocial alone, Snuff is such a beautiful song too, and creepy. It holds a lot of meaning now, especially after all the Paul Gray tribute shows Corey did and he played it. Nostalgia kind of wants me to put this at B. I was going to put it at a C+, just because it felt flat. Joey left after this. Paul died. So I'm going to chuck it in B now. This could change. Alright, speaking of Paul's death, the Grey Chapter. That must have hit the band hard. And you can kind of feel it in the music. This has probably got the worst album cover of any Slipknot album. I don't know what they were doing. I'm going to blame it on the record label, just to save the guys some slack. Weird. It's not horrible. It's not Dance of Death Iron Maiden level bad, but it's not a very good album cover. But the album itself is actually pretty fucking good. It was a good follow-up from All Hope Is Gone. They didn't trend downwards. Some good songs. The Devil and I think, is one of Slipknot's best songs. Creepy, the vocal effects, the heaviness, the music video was awesome for it as well. I love Kill Pop as well. Once again, like the Vermilion, but heavier. Just that creepy kind of tone. It's got a Every Breath You Take vibe to it. What I mean by that, the stalker. A lot of people get Every Breath You Take by the Police wrong as a love song. It's about a stalker. Kill Pop's definitely about a stalker. That goes a little bit too far by the time you get to the end. But I reckon that song's fantastic. Cluster is great. That was a really good live when I saw it. This is better than All Hope Is Gone. I don't know if I necessarily want to chuck it up in A. Just because some of the weaker tracks you can definitely skip over and just leave. I do think it's really good though. It's definitely better than All Hope Is Gone. I'm going to chuck it here right now because I definitely think it's better than All Hope Is Gone, but I don't think it should jump into the A tier with Subliminal Verses. But this was good. This has some good songs on it, and I might move it up to A. We'll see. Alright, moving on. We Are Not Your Kind. I remember the old NXT intro to those wrestling nerds out there, of the whole locker room kind of singing along. It was a cool intro for a wrestling show. It was a bit corny when they did it there, but that song was really good. Neo Forte is actually one of my favorite Slipknot songs. I think that song slaps. It's very different. The music video is trippy. I like it. Unsainted's a good song as well. It's got a bit more Stone Sour influence, I guess, in Corey's vocals, but that's what's going to happen. You're a singer. You can't change that much band to band unless you're like Stu Block or someone like that. I really do like this album. I forget a lot of the songs on it now that I'm thinking about it. I just Soul Away Filth. I really like the song My Pain, though it's got 2 minutes of bullshit at the start and 2 minutes of bullshit at the end, which really hurt it. But I like the creepiness of the vocals in the middle of it. I reckon that song's pretty cool, and a lot of people hate that song. To each their own. I think this is good. I don't know. See, I kind of want to throw it in C. Just average. Not great, not fantastic, but I do think it's better than All Hope Is Gone. And I've got that at B. So I might need to do some rearranging, because I think it's better than All Hope Is Gone. Don't think it's as good as the Grey Chapter. And I don't know if I want all three of these in B. When we get to the end, I might rearrange this, because if I'm going to put that in B, I really feel like I have to put this in C. Even though Psychosocial is a good song, I don't know if it's enough to carry the album to a B. I think the album is average. You could feel it. You know, they fired Joey after this. Rest in peace, Joey. Which is a shame. You know what? Just for the sake of it's going to bother me just seeing it there for a while. I'm going to sit that in C for now, and I'll come back to it. Alright, now, the brand new album only came out a couple of days ago. The End So Far. Last album on their record deal with Roadrunner Records. Everyone kind of seems to be leaving that label, which is a shame. I remember that Roadrunner United album in concert back in the day was just so good. But if everyone's jumping ship, there must be something there that's not right, which is a shame. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't honestly know enough about it. I've listened to this album 3 times through so far, so I can't give a defining opinion on what I think. I think it's interesting. There is definitely some theatrical elements to the music in this one. I even get a couple of Beatles influences, like when they went through the weird psychedelic stuff with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The first song, which I'm forgetting at the moment, I think is pretty cool, but it's definitely got that kind of psychedelic feel, and it does blend into The Dying Time really well. I think The Dying Song is a really good song. Hive Mind's pretty cool as well. Yen, when they released it, the magazines were saying, oh, it's very Type 0 negative. I didn't get that feel from when I listened to it, and it kind of disappointed me when it first came out. The 2 songs right towards the end, sorry, I can't name them all off the top of my head because I've just kind of been playing it without looking at the tracks. They're pretty good too. The album does close well. Production value on this one feels a bit bland in places. Like it feels kind of like recycled Slipknot sounds, if you know what I mean. They've just kind of grabbed samples and gone, shit, we need to get this out, let's just rush it. I can tell some definitely creative processes went into this album, but, and I hate to say it, for me, I currently think it is the worst Slipknot album so far. It might be better than All Hope Is Gone, but I don't know, there's just something in some of those songs where it just kind of feels like they're just throwaway tracks and they were just trying to get the album completed, because there are some strong contenders on here, don't get me wrong. Hive Mind, like I said, is really cool. The Chappertown Rag is actually a really good song. I do enjoy that. And that might be enough for me to push it above All Hope Is Gone, but it is also fresh in my mind. You know, I go 2 ways. I don't know how you guys do. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, this album's really cool, and I think highly of it for a while until it drops down a bit. Senjutsu, the new Iron Maiden album, that's kind of dropped down a bit. I ranked it as a B in my video. I probably wouldn't move it to C, but I'd probably move it to a B-. I don't want to chuck this one a D. I don't think Slipknot have ever done anything bad. Some things are just better than the others, and I think this one's a bit average, so I'm going to have to chuck this at a C. At the moment, I think it's better than All Hope Is Gone, but All Hope Is Gone has been out for a long time now. The new album's only been out for 3 days. So, My opinion on it may change over time. I might appreciate the weird sounds. I remember when Linkin Park released A Thousand Suns. I listened to that album the first way through and went, what the hell was that? Second time through, I picked a couple of good bits in it. Now, honestly, that Linkin Park album is my favorite Linkin Park album, and a lot of people just think, oh, that was their weird experimental. They tried to have like an almost Fallout themed album, but to me, that was special. I honestly don't believe the Slipknot album is going to have the same effect with me, because I do feel there was a sense of urgency to release the album sooner rather than later. And it does show. There are some good songs on it. I do think I'm comfortable with it being a C. I don't know if it's better than All Hope Is Gone yet, but it's interesting. They tried some interesting stuff. I hope they take the good stuff away from that and add stuff in the future. It'd be interesting. New record label, everything coming out. I am keen to see what Slipknot do next. I know the new album only just came out. We're probably like 3-4 years away from another record. That could even be their last record. A couple of them are getting up there in age. They want to do their own thing. Maybe Slipknot will just keep carrying until they all can't do it anymore. I can see that happening too. Anyway, let's go back through now and see if I'm happy with these decisions. Slipknot have been around for so long, I forget they've only got 7 albums. I thought there was like 10 or 11. When I actually sat down and saw the list, I was like, oh, this is going to be shorter than what I initially thought. I am pretty happy where I've got, you know, like I said, I'm going to put them as equal at the moment. I don't know which is better. I do feel the initial funness of the experimental stuff they've done on the new album will wear off, and All Hope Is Gone will kind of take back over, because like I said, stuff like Snuff, Psychosocial, Dead Memories still hold up. These two, like I said, that's definitely better than these two. I don't think it lives up to the Grey Chapter. But Nero Forte is awesome. Unsainted's a fun song as well. So I'm happy with both of them being a B. I wouldn't bump any of them up to A, and I don't think I'd move any of them down to C. Subliminal Verses, it's such a different Slipknot album to everything else. Right in the middle of when they were like all angry and fighting with each other, to when they've kind of toned down a bit as they've matured in age. I think it deserves to kind of stand on itself. It's an A. I wouldn't feel comfortable moving it up to S, because I just feel, not that the magic was gone, it's just those first 2 albums were something different. I was in high school when these albums came out. In fact, no, I lie, I wasn't even in high school when the first album came out. So when that came out, first listen to Slipknot, I think I got into them around the time Before I Forget came out, and that was the first song I heard. And then I went back and was just like, oh my god, this is crazy. Just a pure rage in the first 2 albums. Young teenage me still trying to find himself. Really, really like that. I'd say I probably liked this a bit more until I matured a little bit and appreciated the heaviness of these albums. But I think I'm going to be a little bit blasphemous today, and I'm going to put the debut album as the better album. I do think, track by track, this is probably the stronger album overall, and the production value, the mixing, that When Left Behind kicks in. Oh, the mixing and the production on that was just insane. But I've got a soft spot for songs like Sick, Eyeless, Wait and Bleed's always fun. But then again, you got the Heretic Anthem and stuff on that album. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I guess when I first saw Slipknot as well, it was a 10-year anniversary of the first album, so they played a lot of tracks. So the first time I saw them live, they played a lot from that album. It's always stuck with me. That was a really good performance. Joey was still in the band. Paul was still alive. So I got to see the original lineup, and they played a lot of the old stuff. So I'm going to edge out saying the first album is slightly better than Iowa, but I know I'm in the majority with that. And if you were to come up and just punch me in the face and go, Iowa is better, I would go, calm the fuck down, dude. Why'd you have to hit me in the face? But I would agree. Like, if someone said, look, Jai, Iowa is better for these reasons, I'd go, yep, the first album just connects to me a little bit more. So I'm pretty happy with that list. That was a lot shorter than what I thought it was going to be. For some reason, I thought they had more albums. Been around for a long time. 7 albums. Haven't put out a bad album yet. Just a couple of more average ones than the others. But that was great. Like I said, I want to do more of these, so you could suggest more bands for me to do. I'd love to do it below. There's some bands, I listen to a lot of their stuff, and I probably need to revisit some old albums, so it would be good for you to suggest some stuff. But this was great. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know how you would rank them down below. Do you guys disagree? Do some of you guys think the Grey Chapter or All Hope Is Gone are S tier? I'd be curious to actually know if that's anyone's favorite, because everyone has different reasons for liking stuff. Some of these albums could have been your first introduction. That's why you rank them higher. I do that with some other albums I listen to, so it is normal to be that way. Not everything is cut and dry. Not everyone has to agree, and that's the beautiful thing about metal. Everyone has their own opinion on it. Whether it's ragingly good or bad in your face and they've got to tell you their opinion, I don't find that's too bad in metal unless people are talking about Slayer versus Metallica and Megadeth. Those arguments get heated. But that's a story for another time. I really enjoyed this. Want to do more. I'd like to do this at least once a fortnight. So let me know if you enjoyed it below. Tell me your list. Like, comment, subscribe, because I didn't say that yet. Got a Twitch channel, you can follow that. That's starting up very shortly. I'm just waiting for a certain game to come out because I'm going to stream that first. And that's it. I hope you all have a good day. Until next time, I've been Jaimunji, and you all have a good one.